Hello, Midnights. You are listening to your favorite bedtime stories. Next up, the Ursa Minor and Chateau star system, a holistic analysis between astronomical reality, digital mythology, and cosmic conspiracy theories. We hope you enjoy our stories. Let us know where you are tuning in from, and while you're here, please consider subscribing to our channel. It really helps keeping these stories coming. Thank you. The night sky has fascinated humanity for millennia. It serves as a compass, a canvas for myths, and an eternal riddle about our place in the universe. Among the countless constellations, Ursa Minor, widely known as the Little Bear or the Little Dipper, occupies an absolute position of prominence. It harbors the cosmic center of our earthly orientation, Polaris, the North Star. Yet, in the depths of the internet, within the borderlands between speculative science fiction, modern algorithmic phenomena, and esoteric conspiracy theories, a fascinating connection has emerged for some time. The so-called Chateau star system in connection with Ursa Minor. To do justice to this phenomenon in all its facets, a comprehensive multi-dimensional examination is required. This article dedicates itself to the topic in a holistic depth that ranges from the hard, irrefutable facts of modern astrophysics and cultural historical traditions to the darkest and most curious corners of modern conspiracy narratives. At the same time, the current stances of science, the space agency NASA, and leading ufologists are integrated to provide a well-founded evaluation of how real astronomy, human psychology, and digital data streams combine to create a modern myth. To understand what the speculative theories are about at their core, we must first look at the physical foundation provided to us by modern astronomy. Ursa Minor is a relatively small but immensely striking constellation of the northern sky. Because it is circumpolar, it never sinks below the horizon in the mid-latitudes of the northern hemisphere and is visible on every clear night of the year. The heart and undisputed anchor of this system is Alpha Ursae Minoris, widely known as Polaris, or simply the North Star. From Earth's perspective, the entire celestial sphere seems to rotate around this single point. However, this is not a cosmic privilege of the star itself, but a purely geometric coincidence. Polaris stands almost exactly in the extension of Earth's rotational axis above the North Pole. The astrophysical reality of Polaris, however, is far more complex than a glance with the naked eye would suggest. Polaris is not a single star, but a true triple star system located at a distance of approximately 433 light-years from our solar system. The primary component, Polaris A, is a yellow supergiant with 5 times the mass of our Sun and a luminosity that exceeds our Sun's by 1,000-fold. It is orbited by 2 smaller companion stars, Polaris B and Polaris AB. Polaris B is already visible with a small telescope, while Polaris AB is so close to the main component that it could only be directly detected using the Hubble Space Telescope. In addition to the North Star, the constellation is significantly shaped by 2 other bright stars, Beta Ursae Minoris, also called Kochab, and Gamma Ursae Minoris, known as Ferkad. These 2 stars are often referred to in astronomical history as the guardians of the pole, as they appear to march in an eternal orbit around the North Star. Kochab is an orange giant located 131 light-years away that has already completely consumed the hydrogen in its core. Ferkad, on the other hand, is a hot white giant at a distance of about 487 light-years. A crucial astronomical factor that also plays a role in many conspiratorial theories is the precession of Earth's axis. The Earth is not a perfect sphere, but wobbles like a spinning top that has been nudged. A complete rotation of this axis takes about 25,800 years. This means that the North Star was not always the fixed point of the North, nor will it remain so. At the time of the ancient Egyptians, about 5,000 years ago, Thuban in the constellation Draco was the North Star. In the distant future, the radiant Vega in the constellation Lyra will assume this role. The Little Dipper, therefore, holds the cosmic crown of the North for only a temporary epoch of Earth's history. If one combs through the official astronomical catalogues of the International Astronomical Union, they will search in vain for an entry regarding a Chateau star system. This term does not appear among named stars or exoplanets. How then did this persistent link between Ursa Minor and the designation Chateau come to be? To dissect this riddle in detail, one must observe two completely different levels: a fascinating digital anomaly of the real world and a speculative mythologization built upon it. The earthly and simultaneously most bizarre explanation for this term stems from modern data processing and the naming of luxury real estate. In the tourism region of the Ozark Mountains in Branson, Missouri, there exists an exclusive collection of vacation homes and lodges. These developments bear resonant names like Chateau Mountain and Chateau Cove. The individual luxury cabins built there are often named after astronomical objects to give guests a sense of grandeur and connection with nature. One of the most prominent lodges in this chateau complex bears the official name Ursa Minor. In the age of search engine optimization, automated database synchronization, and artificial intelligence, this naming convention led to a fascinating information technology short-circuit. Search algorithms scouring the internet for terms linked the geographical designations Chateau Mountain and Chateau Cove indissolubly with the name of the Ursa Minor Lodge. For automated systems analyzing context without human consciousness, the impression was created that Ursa Minor and Chateau were two closely intertwined concepts, or even parts of the same cosmic system. This phenomenon of algorithmic term merging is a textbook example of how digital ghost stories are generated in the 21st century. Yet human imagination rarely contents itself with the mundane explanation of a database artifact. In the forums of alternative sciences and ufology, the term Chateau system was gratefully adopted and charged with a deep, mysterious significance. In this speculative interpretation, the word chateau, which originates from French and means castle or fortress, is understood not as an earthly vacation spot, but as a metaphorical or literal description of a cosmic structure. Proponents of this theory argue that the Chateau system describes a secret, highly protected zone within the Little Bear. It is depicted as a kind of galactic citadel or an interstellar headquarters hiding behind the familiar stars of the Little Dipper. With this, we leave the ground of verified science and enter the vast, shimmering field of cosmic conspiracy theories. The conspiracy narratives surrounding Ursa Minor and a supposed hidden center of power in the north are diverse and deeply rooted in modern ufology, as well as older esoteric systems. If one systematically summarizes these narratives, they can be divided into several major mainstream currents ranging from extraterrestrial guardians to Sumerian cuneiform scripts and secret space programs. A significant current deals with interstellar guardians and the so-called Nordic aliens. In the narratives of exopolitics, the system of Ursa Minor, particularly around the North Star, is considered the home of a highly developed extraterrestrial civilization. Frequently, these beings are classified into the category of spiritually and technologically vastly superior races. According to these reports, which mostly rely on alleged channelings or secret documents, the Chateau system functions as a kind of cosmic court or planetary shield. The castle, or fortress, is interpreted here as a gigantic artificial space station or a multi-dimensional portal. From this fortress, the Guardians monitor the development of humanity and prevent destructive forces from other parts of the galaxy from completely dominating the Earth. Another layer of conspiracy theory links Ursa Minor with popular theses about the hypothetical planet Nibiru. While mainstream ufology mostly describes Nibiru as a planet on an extremely elliptical orbit far beyond Pluto, there is a specialized faction of conspiracy analysts who propose a completely different interpretation. The Sumerian word Nibiru translates to crossing point or place of transition. In some of the oldest Babylonian cuneiform scripts, the word Nibiru is used explicitly in connection with the fixed point of the sky. The conspiracy theory now states that the ancient Mesopotamians did not mean a wandering planet by Nibiru, but rather the unmoving center of the sky, which at that time was marked by the stars Kochab and Ferked in Ursa Minor, due to precession. The Chateau system is interpreted in this context as the actual home of the Anunnaki, the creator gods of humanity. The most radical conspiracy theory concerns the concept of the so-called secret space program. Believers in this movement are convinced that the leading military powers of the Earth, as well as secret transnational organizations, have possessed anti-gravity drives and quantum teleportation since the mid-20th century. In this narrative, the Chateau system in Ursa Minor plays a key role as a strategic outpost. The theory claims that human secret societies, in cooperation with certain extraterrestrial factions, have built a gigantic military infrastructure in the Little Bear. The name Chateau is said to be the actual corporate internal code name for a fortress built like a cavity into the stars or asteroids of this system. It is claimed that modern space telescopes provide high-resolution images of this area, but these are artificially overridden and manipulated prior to publication to hide the gigantic artificial structures and fleet movements in the background from civilian astronomy. A comprehensive view of the phenomenon of the Chateau star system within Ursa Minor would be incomplete without considering the positions of the scientific community and the leading minds of ufology. In an era where space exploration is advancing rapidly and the topic of unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, has arrived in the political and military mainstream, the debate gains a completely new dynamic. The US space agency NASA, as well as international astronomical associations, rarely comment directly on specific conspiracy terms circulating on the internet. However, the scientific position regarding the so-called Chateau system is absolutely clear. There is no empirical evidence, no data point, and no astronomical catalog entry that supports the existence of such a system. For NASA, the constellation Ursa Minor remains an intensively studied, purely natural astrophysical laboratory. The North Star itself is under constant observation, as it plays a fundamental role in determining distances in the cosmos as a Cepheid variable. The latest sky surveys and high-resolution infrared data from modern space telescopes have seamlessly mapped the entire sector of the Little Bear. NASA scientists emphasize that these data show no thermal anomalies, unusual gravitational fluctuations, or artificial megastructures that would hint at a galactic fortress or a technological base. From the perspective of established science, the Chateau system is the classic product of a digital information bubble in which real astronomical designations were merged with earthly terms by algorithms and human misinterpretations. Interestingly, the stance of serious, leading ufologists largely aligns with this scientific skepticism, albeit for different reasons. Modern ufology has undergone a dramatic structural shift in recent years. Pioneering researchers, former military personnel, and analysts dealing with the disclosure of government secrets now concentrate their work almost exclusively on verifiable radar data, physical sightings in Earth's atmosphere, and official hearings before political bodies. Within this scientifically oriented ufology, the Chateau star system in the Little Bear is largely viewed as a modern internet legend or a pure phantom phenomenon. Leading figures in the scene point out that while traditional cosmic reference points of classic ufology appear repeatedly in thousands of pages of declassified government documents or whistleblower reports, the term Chateau, or a specific fortress in Ursa Minor, is nowhere to be found on record. Exopolitical research classifies the phenomenon as a typical example of digital age esoteric folklore. It is argued that such highly speculative and unproven theories do more harm than good to serious UFO research, as they push the topic into the realm of pure science fiction and distract from real, measurable anomalies in our own airspace. Another important aspect highlighted by analysts of digital culture is the mutual influence of modern science fiction, gaming, and real myth-making. The introduction of concepts, such as luxurious fortresses in space within popular science fiction media and video games, impressively shows how present the motif of the cosmic citadel is in the collective imagination. Content from fiction, in turn, feeds the algorithms of search engines and social networks. When people search for terms surrounding a space chateau, game reviews, real hotel listings from Missouri, and older esoteric channeling reports blend into a seemingly homogeneous, mysterious context. Now that both the hard scientific facts and the twisted paths of conspiracy theories have been laid out, it is time to evaluate this information objectively, soberly, and yet empathetically. How do these puzzle pieces fit together? And what is the true core of the debate surrounding Ursa Minor and the Chateau system? From a scientific, astronomical, and historical perspective, one thing can be clearly stated: a physical Chateau star system does not exist. The stars of Ursa Minor are massive glowing balls of gas that are light years away from each other and only form a coherent image from the perspective of Earth. The idea that they form a physical fortress or a closed system ignores the three-dimensional nature of space. A planet orbiting Kochab is as far away from Polaris as we are from the depths of the Milky Way. Instead, the emergence of the term Chateau system in connection with Ursa Minor can be exposed as a fascinating product of our digital age. It is a perfect symbiosis of the human craving for secrets and the blind functioning of internet algorithms. The linking of luxury lodges in Missouri with the constellation of the Little Bear in databases demonstrates impressively how vulnerable our modern information society is to systematic misunderstandings. A simple name on a booking platform for vacation homes mutates into a supposed galactic citadel through the filterless aggregation of data. But why does this term find such fertile ground in the forums of alternative sciences? The answer lies in the psychological and cultural historical constitution of human beings. We are creatures that look for patterns. The phenomenon of apophenia, the tendency to perceive meaningful connections in random data, is deeply anchored within us. The North Star, as the unmoving anchor of the sky, has always possessed deep spiritual symbolism. When everything around us is in motion, we seek the one fixed point that gives us stability. It is completely logical that the human mind would charge this mathematically and geographically vital point with stories of power, protection, gods, and fortresses. The chateau in space is the modern, high-tech version of ancient myths regarding the world tree or the throne of the gods, all of which revolved around the cosmic northern axis. Furthermore, conspiracy theories about secret space programs and cover-ups by NASA fulfill an important psychosocial function. They translate the unimaginable, cold, and often terrifying infinity of space into a human drama. If space is empty, sterile, and indifferent, we feel lonely. However, if a chateau exists up there, a fortress full of guardians, soldiers, intrigues, and secrets, then the universe suddenly becomes alive, understandable, and relatable once more. It is the projection of our own earthly desires, fears, and political structures onto the movie screen of the cosmos. In conclusion, the topic of Ursa Minor and the Chateau star system can be understood as a multidimensional mirror of our present day. We see a clear three-way division. Astrophysical reality shows us a fascinating but entirely natural constellation that serves as our guide for navigation. Official science, in the form of NASA, provides us with precise measurement data that leaves no room for artificial fortresses, and serious ufology distances itself from the term to focus on tangible atmospheric phenomena. The Chateau system does not exist in the interstellar space of the Little Dipper, but rather in the data streams and the inexhaustible imagination of humanity. It is a modern myth born of digital misunderstandings and nourished by the eternal longing that we are not alone out there in the dark, and that a protective fortress watches over us in the eternal north. One does not have to believe the conspiracy theories surrounding the cosmic chateau to be fascinated by them. They are a modern testament to the fact that humanity's urge to explain the heavens and fill them with stories is just as strong in the 21st century as it was during the time of the Sumerians, the Babylonians, or the ancient mariners. The next time you direct your gaze northward on a clear night, using the Big Dipper as a guide to extend the line to the guardians of the pole, eventually beholding the North Star in all its solitary glory, you will see more than just an astronomical object. You will see the center of an infinite web woven from science, history, digital culture, and human imagination. Whether a real castle made of stardust exists up there, or only lives in the thoughts of those who reach for the stars. Ursa Minor remains the immovable anchor of our night sky and an eternal symbol of our yearning for the unknown.